Welcome back, everybody. Happy Friday. I hope you all had a safe and happy Thanksgiving. Had your fill of pumpkin pie and turkey. I know I did. So I'm up here now working on some tractor stuff. Took it easy yesterday, took the day off, but now we got some stuff to get done rest of the weekend. So today's goal is to get all these wheels final prepped and ready for paint, and then get all the paint stuff set up and ready to go. So first thing tomorrow morning, Saturday, we will start priming and painting these wheels. So I got these sulky wheels cleaned up already this morning, just kind of get you caught up on what I've been doing. Kind of went over everything with the wire wheel, getting the few little spots that the sandblaster missed. I guess one last thing I have to do is come up with a plug to plug those holes where the grease cups go so we don't get paint in there. And these, after a final wipe down, will be ready for paint. Currently been working on the drive wheels. So what I did was the same story, went around them with the wire wheel, get the few spots that were missed. Then I took the actual grinder and ground down where the lugs were. You have all this real hard rust that the sandblast doesn't even take off. So I hit them with the actual grinder wheel and then come back again with the wire wheel, and then it polishes all up, gets all those boogers off, gets all those pits cleaned out, clean as you're going to get them at least. Then I went around with the grinder wheel and touched up any nicks and burrs, you know, like on these things there was some burrs, kind of cleaned a few of the edges a little bit where there's some sharp edges. Actually making this nicer than it ever was originally, you know, because they didn't deburr any of these edges on these parts originally, but I kind of knocked a few of them down just because there was a few, like I said, sharp edges. One last thing I have to do here is run a tap through these hubcap bolts holes and clean them out. And then this wheel, whether again with the final wipe down, this wheel will be ready to go. And I gotta do the same thing on this one, go over all these rusty spots, and this wheel will be ready to go. So yeah, coming right along. So the other project for later today, once I get the wheels all done and the paint stuff all set up, is I got to build a crate to crate this front casting up so I can ship it off to Midwest Cylinder Head to have them repair the damage to it, those cracks that I previously showed you on the, there's at least 3 holes that are cracked. There's one there, there's a chip and crack here, and where's the third one? Yeah, anyway, there's at least 3 holes that need to be repaired. So I'm going to take apart another skid, a pallet, and I got some Certifoam. We'll build a little crate and crate it all up so we can get it sent off and get it to them so they can repair it. So get that process going. It's the right way to do it. I mean, yeah, I talked about just, you know, JB welding up these cracks or whatever, but it's like, yeah, the more I got to thinking about it, I didn't like that. I mean, I'm going through this much effort to get this tractor restored, you know, very nicely. I don't want to start cutting corners now. I'll do it right and make sure it's fixed right so those cracks don't get worse than what they already are. It might be fine, but I don't want to chance it and have to take it all back apart down the road if it breaks. So that's also the goal for the little bit later today. So I'll check back a little later. Okay, everything is prepped and final cleaned off and put in the booth here. So that's all ready to go. I just shook up my red paint just to crack that open and look. Make sure it's the right color. Ooh, isn't that a pretty red? All set up here. So I think we're pretty much ready for the morning here. There, front cover's all crated up. What do you think? Is that packaged carefully enough? If that can't make it there undamaged, I don't know how I don't know how else to package it. There's handles for them to pick it up. So that'll go on there and the cover will go on top. Screwed down. As long as it's under 150 pounds, we can ship it UPS, and I'm pretty sure it will be. I'll have to get the scale out and measure it, but weigh it rather. But I think it'll work, as long as we don't get too crazy with it. Yeah, we got 2 coats of primer on all the wheels this morning. Haven't been filming, I've just been focusing on getting it done here. Give you a little quick shot of finished product primer. So far it turned out good. So we'll have a little bit of lunch and come back out and start spraying some paint. I'm a little bit concerned because I used just about a quart to prime this, so it's going to be touch and go whether or not I'll have enough paint. So everybody cross your fingers. Okay, first coat of red paint is on. So far so good, but as suspected it's going to be dangerously close whether or not I'll have enough to finish the second coat. Because I can only do what I can do because doors are closed. Well, even if they were open, they'd have to get the paint in if I needed more. So whatever I have today is all I can do. Hoping I'll have just enough to squeak by. I'll have to get more, finish up all the other parts of the red segment, gears, hubcaps, whatnot. It's looking nice. All done. I just had enough paint, just a splash left over. So one quart does all 4 wheels with the exception of all the other stuff. So I end up having to get another quart to finish. Hopefully that will enough. Yeah, turned out well. Nice shine to it. I think got all the nooks and crannies. They are the wheels after all, they're going to get dinged up and scratched when the tractor actually gets used anyway, so. But it'll be nice for a while. All my stuff cleaned up here, all the gun cleaned up, put away. I'll finish cleaning up here tomorrow. I'll show you what the finished product looks like again once they're dry. Happy Sunday. Come up here to the shop to finish putting everything away. Check out the wheels now that they're dry. I'm pretty happy with them. I haven't really spotted anything that bugs me. Looks like I got all the nooks and crannies. Coverage is nice. Got a nice shine to them. I'm going to resist the urge to take and put these on the tractor right away. I'm going to let them sit here for at least a week and cure out, and then maybe next weekend we'll bring them out to Lawrence's and actually put them on the tractor. So yeah, we'll finish cleaning out the booth, and I don't know what we'll do after that. Okay, let's get you guys caught up on a few odds and ends that I've been working on here that I haven't showed you yet. Last week I had a friend weld up the holes in the end of the seat brackets here. They were wore out, so now I can drill them back out to the proper size to get the clearances nice and tight to take out all the slop in the seat assembly, hopefully. I'm still working on trying to find the right size SAS chain to go on this pulley for the governor throttle control. This is the original chunk. This is a number 50. This was a number, I'm not even sure now if this was a 60 or 40, which way it went. Two different sizes, both too big. And to my knowledge, the next size smaller is a 35, and that is smaller than this. So I might end up just going with that and being done with it. I have noticed by looking at different pictures of different 612s that there's at least two different versions of this pulley. They got the kind with the V bottom like I got, and there's some that have a flat bottom, which would make a whole lot more sense because the SAS chain is meant to only flex in one direction. It doesn't like to bend this way. So going around a V pulley really doesn't make much sense. I'm not even sure exactly why they would have even done it that way. But I could see why. I speculate the later ones, they changed that flat bottom pulley to facilitate that chain working better is what I speculate the difference there. So I'm still kind of working on that, trying to figure out what size I should have and how to do that. I did order up some of this rubber gasket material. There's Buna and rubber, I guess they call it. Just thin stuff, 30-second thick, with the intention of cutting out a gasket for this fuel bowl. I did make one out of gasket material, but I wasn't really 100% happy with how it turned out because the inside of the bottom of the threads obviously is smaller than the outside, so I almost, in the gasket material, I couldn't stretch to get it up in there, so that's why I went with the rubber, so I can cut that ID a little bit smaller to fit down inside there a little bit tighter and get a little bit better seal. So when I get a second, I'll cut out a new one of them and try that, see if that works any better. And then I still gotta find a packing. I can't put that together with one hand. Find some packings for this gland nut. And then with a little bit of final cleanup, this can actually be ready to go. What else have I been working on? I kind of was cleaning up here a little bit, regrouping, trying to figure out what to tackle next, because now that my wheels are done, I'm actually not sure what I'm going to do next. I'll probably, what I should do is I should take these bolts and big washers off, these stub axles, and get them all cleaned up to facilitate putting the wheels back on, like I said, maybe next weekend. We'll see what the weather's like and everything. Transport them out here and work on that. Figure out how exactly I'm going to jack this tractor up. I'll have to see if these big floor jacks, if I get underneath these stub axle, part of the casting there, if I can get a good safe bite on there and enough height to lift up the tractor. If I put one jack on each side, if I can lift up the tractor with the jacks high enough to get the wheels on that way, or if I'll have to finagle it back over and use the gantry crane. Putting the rear ones on obviously is no issue because they're up on jack stands already, ready to go. Back to the seat, I should figure out which hardware I need to order up as far as length of bolts and nuts and whatever. I should get that stuff ordered so then I could get that part of the project pretty much done and back together. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I kind of touched on it there earlier, I guess, as far as a couple people are a little curious, what's the deal? You're in a spray booth and sometimes you're out at this place where, what, are these all your shops or what's the whole story there? Well, I work out of multiple locations. So this is my buddy Lawrence's place here. He's kind enough to let me work out of his shop. I help him with his projects and he helps me with mine, and kind of egg each other along to get these projects done. And sometimes it's nice to have another set of hands and all that kind of fun stuff. I also work out of where I work shop. That's where I was painting there in the booth, and where you see me making those pallets and skids and stuff. That's where I work, so I can work on my projects there, like on the weekends and stuff. I also work out of my little basement, of course. You see me work there at my house. Back home in Wisconsin, work out of pole barn where we keep the tractors. And Dad's got his little shop set up in his garage to work out of there. So work out of multiple locations, but that's just making maximum use out of your available resources, right? It's not always the most convenient because you got to transport stuff from one location to the next. Like I had to bring the wheels from here into work to paint them, and I'll have to transfer them back out here to put them back on the tractor. So it's kind of inconvenient, but we don't have a spray booth here, so I got to use what I have available. So that's a kind of rundown on that, because like I said, a few people were kind of wondering what I had going on here. Do you got multiple shops? Or no, I'm not that fancy of a setup. I don't have multiple shops of my own. I don't even really have one of my own when it comes right down to it. So yeah, I'll get something done here and we'll go from there. Okay, hardware for this side wheel cleaned up. A little bit of wear on this washer, but nothing I'm too terribly concerned about. Threads chased. So that goes on there like that. That's all cleaned up as well. So that side's ready to go. Do the same with the other side now. This side's all cleaned up now too. Not nearly as much wear on this one, but it was a lot more rusty. I actually had to take the wire wheel to it, clean it all up. At this point, I don't know which side these originally were on because they've gotten mixed up. But yeah, this side is almost like new. The other side had more wear. So the same story, threads all chased, all cleaned up. So this side's ready to go. There. So down in the basement, put a few things away from this weekend, and I figured I'd do another little end of the video wrap up thing. I kind of like that. Kind of lets me wrap up all my thoughts of what's been happening over the weekend and what the future plans are, all that kind of fun stuff. So where are we at? The wheels are done. I guess I'm going to let them cure out, and if the weather cooperates next weekend, we'll bring them out and hopefully get them put on the tractor. So that'll be a nice step in the right direction. Get the tractor up to the proper ride height again, get them off of those temporary rubber tires that they've been sitting on. So that'll be fun. Be sure to check back next weekend for that. I got a little bit figured out, hopefully, on the sandblaster. So I better cover a couple things on that. I got a lot of good suggestions of things to try to make it work better, and I just haven't had time to try them yet, but I will. Um, Couple of things that I should have addressed last week that I didn't talk about that I will now. Um, One suggestion was, I didn't have enough air, or what kind of compressor did I have running this? Well, I'm running that sandblaster cabinet up at the workshop, and we have a great big, I think it's a 15 horse rotary screw industrial air compressor there. So there's no shortage of air. That's not an issue. And there's also a air dryer hooked up to the whole system. So the whole shop's air is dry. So there's no moisture issues as well. So that's not going to be one of the problems. But it will be, if you're running, say, a smaller compressor with no air dryer or water separator or anything, and you get moisture issues, that will cause problems with sandblast cabinets. So that's something to keep in mind if you are having problems with them. One thing that was suggested is that I try a different media, or even the same media but new media, because the stuff that was in that cabinet was used stuff, is what that came with it. So and that I am going to try. I have some other stuff. I just haven't got around to swapping it out and trying it, see if that makes a difference. I'm hoping that's the problem, because I guess if some of that finer stuff, once it gets used, it gets so fine that it just kind of packs itself in the line. You get that slugging issue where it doesn't like to flow through the line nice and consistently, just because it's wore out. Basically, it's such a fine powder almost, not a sand anymore. So I'm hoping that's actually possibly the issue. So we'll try that. Like I said, maybe next weekend if I get time. I will put together a video dedicated to strictly what type of paint I used and what codes I used and all that kind of stuff. Like I said in past videos that I will get to that, and it's on my radar. I'm going to get to that. I was kind of waiting to do that until I had done the red. So I was confident that it was the right color red, and I liked it, all that kind of stuff, as far as recommending it for other people. And now that I have, and I know that it looks like the right red and everything, that I can go forward with posting what codes and stuff I have on that. So that I'll look forward to that in an upcoming video. I'll do one just on that, and I'll probably cover my review of my spray gun and all that kind of stuff too at the same time. Kind of tie up all those loose ends. I still haven't gotten to that surprise that I promised, 2 weeks ago. I never got around to it last week, and I still haven't got around to it this week. So maybe next week. Just know that there is another surprise coming. It is here. It's waiting. I just haven't showed you guys yet. So I have to wait at least one more week. Keep you guys in suspense. I'm going to, this evening here, I measured up what bolts I need, like for the seat assembly and whatever. I got a handful of different hardware I have to order up, a bunch of long square-headed bolts, some nuts and whatever. So then I can get the seat assembly, get that going again. Because once I drill those couple of holes, and then that'll pretty much be ready to put back together and dry fit everything, and everything looks good, then we can add that to the list of things to paint next time around. We do some green paint. But yeah, I think that pretty much kind of wraps up what I had going on this week. And before you know it, Christmas will be here, and I'll be going back home and getting some more stuff. Hopefully go run down to Norm's and get the engine and stuff from him. So then after that, we'll have lots of stuff to work on. So lots of things to look forward to in the coming week. So be sure to check back. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It's free. Be sure to leave me a comment if you want to have any thoughts about anything. And I thank you for watching. See you next week.